Oh yeah, how should we do that? I'm Diane.
Okay, so I was thinking like it's more like interview style.
Okay.
You grew up in the Midwest?
Yeah, I grew up in the Midwest.
Okay.
So I was born in Nebraska. Originally super like suburban,
Yeah.
predominantly white
Yeah.
area. Like I swear, like growing up, I was like the only Korean American.
Yeah.
Like in school.
Only
just
Korean
Korean in
American?
general.
Only Asian?
So like weirdly in Lincoln, like where I live, there's like a pretty big Vietnamese population.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So there's like a good Vietnamese community, but they all kind of grow up going to like church together, going to like a lot of the same functions and just like that kind of stuff. So even if there was like Asians around, I wasn't really like a part of that, if that makes sense.
Community.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, they're very much kind of they very much have their own culture and stuff
Right.
like that. And like they all like grew up together and they all like knew each other. And so then, and like obviously my family is not like going to those church events. They're not going to like the same events.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really like a part of the Asians that were there. But that was even still a small community of people. So, yeah.
I feel like we don't have too many Vietnamese communities in Massachusetts.
Really?
Or Boston.
I feel like there's like a lot of, from what I saw, because I went like a long time ago, but I saw there was like a lot of Chinese. I heard that there's like some Koreans, but probably more than Nebraska. But
I'm like thinking that you were in Boston at some point. Is that right? Or
yeah, like I visited like one time because like I used to be really into like gaming. And so I would like game with a bunch of people, and I've met random people like from Boston.
That's how you met Jason. Right?
Yes. And then I literally met like, cause like we got into a random game, and you know how everyone like is like talking to each other on the headset?
Yeah.
So then we ended up like making a Discord because we would play all the time. So I actually met, I don't know if you know Jason Ron, but I met Jason first like when I was maybe like,
wait, is he the guy that's married now?
Yes.
Yes.
I met him when I was like maybe 15.
Really?
Yeah, and we would just play games
many years
all the time.
ago.
And then so very long time ago. And then he added me into his group, which was all his Boston friends.
Oh.
So then we would all just hang out and like talk like all the time, play games like for hours and hours and hours and hours a day. And then like I think when I turned like 18, I think it was like 2.5 years later. So it was like I think it was like 17. Then I went and visited everyone.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So you never actually were like Boston based.
No, I was never Boston based.
I thought that for a little bit.
No, I was never Boston based. Yeah. But I've always just been like very like, I don't know, just like social, talkative. And so like I remember like I like wanted to go, and then I was telling my mom about, because I was like literally 17, so I was still living with her, and she was like, "Where are you going?" And I was like, "I'm going to Boston." And she was like, "How did you meet these people?" And I'm like, "On the internet." And she's like, "Oh my god, my daughter's really gonna get like human trafficked or something. And like, what are you doing?" But like everyone was real because we would like FaceTime sometimes too.
Right.
So like it was like actually like legit. And everyone like that I met like specifically was from Malden, and they all went to Malden like high school.
Right. Yeah, that's how they all know each other.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
So I was like, that's crazy. So then I ended up just like, then I started meeting people like at the high school that weren't even gaming. So I just started like meeting like everyone.
That's how you met me.
Yeah, and then I met you, like, because just, you know, people knowing other people, and it just like spread.
Yeah.
So I'm just like that random bitch from Nebraska that they like met online like one day.
Yeah, that's super random.
Yeah.
So like when I like first met you, I did not get the vibe that you were like a Midwestern girl. Like I thought you were just like a New York girl.
People always say that, and I would love to ask my favorite like question to ask people. Like, when I first moved here, I was like, "Where do you think I'm from?" Like, because I'm like, I know they're not going to see Nebraska because like no one knows anyone from Nebraska. Yeah. And I always get like LA. People always say that they think like I'm from California. Yeah, that's which what I was thinking. Valid because I'm like, yeah, there's like a really big population of like Asians based in California. Yep. And so I was like, that's valid. But then also like, you know, there's like kind of like East Coast, West Coast like tea and drama sometimes. So I was like, how am I supposed to feel about New Yorkers saying that they think that I'm like, they're like, yeah, you give LA vibes. And I'm like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Do you know what I mean? But from what I've heard, it's like a good thing.
I think it's a good thing. Yeah. I feel like LA vibes is like more chill and like New Yorker gives me like you're like, don't talk to me.
Right.
I'm busy. Like that kind of vibe.
Right.
Yeah.
I think like from what I heard, like, because I was asking my roommate about it, and I was like, yeah, what gives me like a West Coast vibe? All the technical difficulties always come when you're like literally filming.
This is like a very amateur setup, so it's just like me, like.
But honestly, this works though. It literally works. It looks professional.
Your stuff? Do you have like a whole setup going on? Like you bought like your mic, your camera?
No, literally, I literally just like film everything on my phone.
Yeah, same.
Because it's so like, simple, and I feel like also like I bought a really expensive vlog camera. It was like maybe like $850, which is kind of a lot.
That's an investment.
Yeah, so I bought it and I was like, I'm gonna use this all the time. I bought the tripod, I bought the mic, like I bought everything for it.
Right.
And like it for me, like I can't do it. I don't know why. Like,
what do you mean? Like,
I feel like it disrupts the process. Like versus like your phone is so easy, you can film anything at any time. But when I have like a big, like bulky vlog camera and I have to carry it around and I have to like it's more of an it puts more effort in the process of like setting up versus like, okay, I could literally just be like whipping out my phone and just filming like right now.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So it's more convenient. Like the phone is more convenient and like then I have to carry like a camera bag everywhere and like do all that stuff, which you have the
newest iPhone too, so it's not like the quality is bad.
No, the quality is really good.
Right.
And that's why like there's such a big rise of like influencers that just film like on their phone, like short form content. That's like all like phone.
Yeah.
Like, literally everyone's filming on their phone.
It's so easy.
Yeah, and I think people just really like, especially nowadays, I feel like social media is shifting where like people just want like more relatable everyday people doing it, and like people really like sit down talking, do your makeup. Like it's not as like it doesn't have to be as like picturesque as it like used to be.
Like more real.
Yeah,
relatable.
And the more like raw it is, and the more like real and like less like set up the environment is, I feel like it's like more appealing now to like have that. Yeah.
That's really hard though. I feel like sometimes I'm talking to a camera, so I can't feel like there's people behind the camera, but you get judged so hard on the internet. Have you had like criticism and like
definitely no, okay. Girl, I literally went to like I think I was in Washington Square Park, and like my cousin from Korea like came down to visit, and so then she had like her friends from Korea that also came, and then like I had two Koreans that like I actually like met in Korea that like actually came to New York to Parsons to study. Yeah. And so like I invited them to hang out with like all as a group at the park. And I came up with this like little stupid TikTok idea where I was like, oh my god, because I was like looking around and I was like, damn, all of you guys were born in Korea and I'm the only one that like was born here. And I feel like it kind of shows a little bit sometimes, and like our person, like just the personality differences. Like I feel like I'm just like really loud and obnoxious and annoying, and they're just more like they're just more toned down. Do you know what I mean?
It's very like international Asian.
Yes, yeah. So so I was like, oh my god, you guys need to help me film this TikTok where I was gonna. There's this like audio.
I know what TikTok.
No, literally, and it's like my pronouns are USA. And then like I was like, I want to just show like. I don't know. I just want to put like a caption that's like, oh yeah, when you're the only Korean American and like.
It's funny. It's relatable.
Yeah, and like it literally like blew up. It got like almost 9 million views.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which was like, I was like, what the heck? And people were literally like, there were a lot of like hate comments, like a lot. But
what is there to hate on? Like people that are offended? Are they like
okay? But
Asian
honestly,
American?
I kind of made the mistake because so like basically because of the audio and also like the big difference between TikTok and Instagram is TikTok does a really good job of like finding niche audiences and like showing people that are actually like filtering out content that is like really catered to their audience. Right. So like everything that you see on your For You page is going to be like stuff that you actually want to watch versus Instagram. It's just like whoever. Right. So basically the algorithm reached like a bunch of like conservatives, like boomers and shit. And so they thought I was being dead ass. Like they thought I was like, I don't know, they're just like USA. And they were just like, oh my god, like we're like, you know, like the American superiority complex.
Oh my god.
And so I was just like, okay. So then I like pinned my comment. I was like, girl, like not all the conservatives on here, like talking about like thinking that I'm like being so for real about it. And then they were like, they got mad because like I responded to that, and they were just like, you stupid like New York liberal, like blah,
they
blah,
thought
blah,
you
blah,
were
blah.
Like, oh, I love USA, and then you came back and you were like, oh, this is a joke.
No, this is a joke because it's just like, no, I'm saying this because I'm like more obnoxious and annoying. Like that was what the joke was supposed to be.
It's like obviously a joke. The fact that you have to explain it to people is
literally. And so I was just like, oh well. But honestly, like hate comments, I feel like aren't something like I don't think the internet is like a real place.
It's like, not. I think it's like so a bunch of like bots and like I don't know anybody in real life that actually like comments like hate comments on other people's. I'm like, where are you coming from? Like
no, literally, like who are you? Like literally, who are you? So I feel like it doesn't honestly like it does not bother me like at all.
Okay.
Yeah, I know some people.
To be
no, literally, I'm
an influencer.
Yeah, because
on the
like
screen.
Yeah, like I would like even when I'm responding, like I'm not even like actively like pissed off or anything. You know what I mean? I'm just good. Like I just sometimes I'd be like trolling people back like on the internet too because I'm just like this is literally the internet. I don't care. Like
that's the attitude you kind of need. I feel like in
I
order
agree.
To, like,
I agree.
Feel jaded. Yeah.
I think like a lot of people that don't really like to post also tend to be a little bit more sensitive.
Yeah, for sure.
To those things, which is like fairly like that's completely fair.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I'm not really like a very sensitive person when it comes to that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's why you're on the pod.
No, literally.
I saw like a bunch of just like Asian people, like Asian Americans that I know were like commenting on they all got like attracted to your post.
Yeah, because I feel like it was like super relatable. Like, because like the Korean American experience is so different from like growing up in Korea. And like especially since I visited, well, my first time visiting Korea was when I was like 16.
That was your first time?
That was my first time visiting. My mom sent me by myself. Wow. So I flew like to Korea by myself.
Family that was there?
My whole extended family lives over there.
Okay.
So my mom was like the first person. My mom and dad were the first people in their family to ever move to the US.
Yeah.
So like
and they chose Nebraska.
They're literally out of everything. And I always ask them that too because like growing up I'd be so salty. I'd be like, why did you move to Nebraska? Yeah. But I think like so my dad like he grew up like in the outskirts of Korea. Mm-hmm. So he grew up like super dirt poor. And like my mom would tell me stories of like how he'd like study under a candle and he felt like the only way that he would get out of poverty was to just study. Right. So then he studied and then he got like this scholarship in Nebraska that was like they give it out to one person a year. And he got it. And it was like a lot of money, like a lot of money back then, especially like in the 90s.
Right.
And so then like through that, they basically was like, okay, we're gonna move to the US together and like start our life. And also I feel like when you're living in Korea, especially when you're in like the outskirts and you've never been to America, you just kind of have this perception that like, okay, anywhere in America is good. As long as I'm over there, it's just like the land of opportunity.
Exactly.
So they're not like looking at like, oh yeah, we have to move to New York City or LA or like this specific area. It's just like, okay, wherever the opportunity is like where I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of why we ended up in like that weird niche like
that makes
like
sense.
Little pocket. So yeah, it was kind of weird, but I feel like it definitely gave me a lot of really unique experiences. Like even like with my Korean friends here, like I tell them that I'm like I've never celebrated Lunar New Year ever.
Really?
Like I've never been to like, cause you know like when you go to your like you would go to your extended family's like houses or your grandma's house.
Yeah.
And
I don't think I've done that either.
Really?
Because all my extended family's in Korea too, so I never like met up with family. Right. But I would do like
small things like at home or something. Right. Yeah. Like have that kind of celebratory thing. Yeah. I think like ideally like if my family was more like put together, we would have done that. But then like so once my dad like came here to study, he was studying for his PhD. But then in the process of studying for his PhD that he passed away from cancer. So then after that, my mom was always working. So basically like the two people that could really like influence the Korean culture, like I think she would have like we would have celebrated Lunar New Year's or like been really in touch. Yeah. But because of that, like she was always working. So then I just kind of grew up in like American school system, was just influenced by that. And then also on top of that, we didn't have Korean community around us. We didn't have any extended family. Yeah. So it's just like, how am I gonna even? There's literally no Lunar New Year like celebration. Around. So it's just like, So there's just certain like weird things like about Korean culture that I really had to just like go out of my way to explore the culture and like know it and understand it and stuff like that. So yeah.
Did you have a culture shock when you moved from Nebraska to New York in terms of like other Korean Americans around, but also just like
definitely, but also I kind of like that's what kind of lured me here to begin with because I was like I want to be around more diversity. Yeah. Because like I've had a lot of just like weird traumatic experiences like growing up in Nebraska, and I felt very isolated and just like, especially because like I'm a very like creative, artistically driven person. Yeah. And so there's not really a lot of people that are doing that out there either. And so then on top of being like Korean and then on top of like wanting to be an artist, I'm just like, there's literally no community here whatsoever. So I was like, I'm either going to go to LA or I'm either going to go to New York. And I visited both.
You did?
Yeah, I visited both.
And I was chose.
And then I ended up, I feel like people in New York kind of like speak to my soul a little bit more. Just like their attitudes, the like, I really like that people here are really, really driven. Everyone kind of like is moving with a sense of purpose.
Everyone's ambitious.
Super ambitious. But definitely took me out of my comfort zone because I feel like in Nebraska, like everything is super slow paced.
Right.
Super slow paced. Like I would literally be able to drive my car anywhere and be able to get groceries in like 10 minutes. And then now I'm like walking up like six flights of stairs.
To like get from Manhattan
to
sometimes.
And then also like when I moved here, I knew literally no one. Like, so the first like, well, it's been like 9 months since I first moved here. And like, I think like the first year has been super difficult. Like just adjusting, making new friends, not having a support system, and then also being completely financially self-supported is like really difficult.
Girl, you are made to be a New Yorker. Everything was just like hustle, that's like so extroverted, like...
I'm very extroverted, for sure. But I think nothing can prepare you for the amount of chaos that like New York brings. Because I grew up in a very, very quiet suburb. Like super peaceful. And there was definitely like good sides to that too. Like I'm not going to say like everything was super shitty. Like I could literally like bike at any time of day and not have to worry. It's super safe. It's super safe. I can't imagine like my mom growing up like being a single parent and being in the city as well. I don't think we would have, their living conditions would have been so bad. And like the cost of living in Nebraska is also super, super low. So I think it definitely benefited us in the situation that we found ourselves in for sure. So I think my life would have ended up really differently if I genuinely don't think we would have been able to afford being in a place like this.
New York is like
super expensive.
It's so expensive for like no reason.
It's so expensive, and on top of that, you're paying like what, like on average, like maybe like $1,300 to live in like a prison cell with no windows, with like no dishwasher,
cockroaches,
no laundry. Like, oh my gosh, it was like definitely a challenge.
One thing that was like kind of going around on the internet. Do you watch the 9 for 9 podcast?
No, I don't.
But you know what the podcast is?
I don't think so.
It's like a bunch of like Asian, like some Korean, like young kids, like 4 of them from.
Oh wait, no, California. I know. I didn't know the name of the podcast, but I've seen so many clips
like their
of it.
zip code, 949 or something. So that's why it's called 9 for 9 podcast. And there's this thing they were talking about that kind of blew up in like a not great way. It was like their shorts talking about Cali Asians being superior, or it's like SoCal, NorCal Asians. I don't know.
No, I've heard about that.
You heard that, right?
I've heard about that tea, but the thing is like I'm just like, girl, I had no Asians. I do not know what is going on. I don't understand like this dynamic.
I didn't know this was a thing. Like I didn't know it even existed. I feel like it's their own like dynamic that they think that exists because they're from California. Like I don't care, but it's also could be because I'm a Boston Korean American and not a New York Korean American.
Right.
But apparently, like, there's, like, a superiority complex to Cali Korean Americans or Cali Asians. And a lot of people were pissed off about that. I didn't feel any type of way.
Honestly, something that I've really, like, learned to understand about Korean culture is I think a lot of Koreans have a superiority complex.
Yeah, for sure.
100%. Like, 100%. Because, like, even if I grew up, like, pretty Americanized, like, my mom was like literally
very proud,
the stereotypical traditional cutthroat Korean woman that you could ever like think of, like
Tiger mom, a little
super conservative.
Okay.
Like I remember like when I would even like in middle school, like super early, maybe like when I was like 12 or 11, I started showing like a lot of interest in like makeup and just like a lot of creative stuff, and she would always try to like stomp that shit out. She'd be like, no, you cannot like put on makeup. Like I remember one time I like had a sleepover with one of my like friends, and like obviously like white households, they typically tend to be like just more like free with that stuff. And so she brought like a bag of like makeup, like a bunch of makeup that she had, and so like we were in my bathroom and stuff, and we were like doing our makeup and stuff.
Fun.
And then my mom came in, and she barged in the door and she was just like, what are you guys doing? And then I was like, we're doing our makeup. And she was like, no, like, you can't. I told you can't wear makeup. And then she like literally yelled at my like
your friend.
I know she was like, oh my god, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
But like she was just like, never bring this like makeup here like ever again. And it's so funny because
don't bring the devil into this household.
No, literally. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, she was super conservative. Always like try to stray me away from like pursuing creative fields versus like doing something. So we would always try to find common ground. Like she would be like, oh well, like maybe you can do like business. Like business would be. I'm like, girl.
Makeup.
And she's like, wait, maybe
compromises business.
No, literally. But it wasn't even business at first. She would literally insist like that would be like a doctor or like a lawyer or something, and she'd be like, yeah, but like you should do that, like, you know, like when you're a doctor, like you have to be really like
whatever you want
prestigious with your hands, so it's kind of similar to art, you know. And I'd be like, girl, no, it's not.
It's not the same.
It is not the same. And first of all, I'm like
kudos
stupid as hell.
Trying to convince you.
There is no way. I am so bad at the sciences.
Me too.
Like that was always like my worst subject.
Okay.
And so I'm just like, girl, how are you gonna tell me to pursue that when that's literally my worst subject?
It's her dream. You have to do it.
No, literally.
You have to make your dream come true.
No, for real. And so then like I was like, okay. So then when I went to college, I ended up applying to like 9 art schools.
Wow.
And then
probably my last against her wishes, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the last one was it was just like the state university like in Nebraska. And I got my like all my financial what's called like the financial packages back.
Yeah.
And it was like basically estimating that I'd be around $200,000 in debt if I wanted to go out of state. And like I have to pay for my own college. So I was like, I don't know. I feel like that's when like reality set in, that I was like, shit, like this shit's really expensive. Like I don't know if I could do it. And then on top of that, every day my mom would be like, this is not realistic. This is not a good idea. And so I feel like that really allowed that to like impact my psyche with it. And so then I ended up going to like my last choice, which was staying in Nebraska for another 4 years. And I was literally like completely miserable during that time because like I like, especially out of high school when I was like 18, I was like, I had these really big ambitions. I was like, I'm going to go out of state and I'm going to go to an art school and I'm going to do this. And then I was like, shit, like, and even moving to New York too, seeing all the art students, most of those people, and I'm not saying all, but a lot of those people that are able to go to art school have a lot of support from their parents, are getting a lot of things paid for.
I agree with you.
A lot of students that go to Parsons are Asian, and a lot of them like have a lot of money.
That's why their parents are like okay with them doing art, because they don't need to like sustain themselves.
Right. And on top of that, they're like,
always,
like one of my Korean friends was telling me, yeah, my mom pays my tuition and my board and everything. And I'm just like, damn, that's crazy. And so then I realized that a lot of like people that are in a position to even go to and attend art school is genuinely like most people are in a position of privilege to be able to even pursue art.
I agree.
Because a lot of people do have to like pursue something that's gonna give them kind of money that's like immediate.
For sure.
And so yeah, then that kind of reality kind of set in. But then once I found out that I was gonna be staying in Nebraska for 4 more years, I was like, I do not want to go to college. Like I don't want to go to college.
So did you not go to college then?
I still went to college. Because the thing is, it's like my mom very much drilled in my head that like I didn't even see college as like not even being an option. Yeah. Like because I guess that's just like something that's very common in Korean households. I was like, okay, when you go to elementary school, you go to middle school, then you go to high school, then you go to college. Like I just saw college it as like a minimum part. Yeah. It was just like a minimum. So then I went and I had like a horrible time because then I ended up like, and going back, like if I could do it over, I would probably pursue like maybe graphic design or just kind of full send into what I was doing. But then
did you do business?
I ended up doing business. I ended up doing marketing, and I hated that shit. I did account. I was in like the accounting courses, like all that stuff, and like it was a bunch of like frat boys, like white frat boys, like in my classes, and I would be like put into these projects with like these white frat boys that would do nothing, would contribute absolutely nothing, could not even type a sentence that was even legible at all. I'm just like, bro, this sentence does not even make any sense. Like, and so then I would like read it. I
have to do the work for them. Yeah.
I literally hated it so much. I literally dropped my major. I was like, I completely dropped it. I was like, I'm not doing this shit anymore. So then I put all those credits into an entrepreneurship minor.
Okay.
so then it wouldn't go to waste.
That was smart.
Yeah. And then I basically took all the other core classes that I had and I put that into advertising, public relations. So there was like some graphic design and like that kind of stuff like in it, but it still wasn't like what I wanted to do.
Right, with your life.
And so I just like, and also like COVID hit during my college. So then everyone like literally got sent home. And so that was like really bad because I was like living basically with like just roommates and stuff because like my mom like also like kicked me out of the house when I was like really young too.
Oh really?
And so like I had not gone home during college in like that
like permanently
years. Yeah, I did not like go home like at all. So our relationship has been very just rocky. Even now it's still like rocky, like just because there's so many cultural differences. And
you're you give me Gen Z, and I feel like Gen Z is like the most liberal right now, and it's probably really hard.
I feel like they're very much like go against the grain type of people.
Yeah.
And I feel like Gen Z is like that generation that is starting to question like these morals and these like career paths and these like things that the older generation have been like, oh yeah, you have to do these things this way. But the thing is like the age that we live in and like the living standards and everything is like so different from what it was back then that you can't even apply those to what it is now.
Yeah, it's a different world.
So it's just like, bruh. My mom just had this like literal perception that like if I went to college, like, I would get a job and all this stuff. And there's so many things now where like people are getting bachelors, but they're not even landing jobs anymore.
Oh no, they're not. The job market's like not that great right now.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like in college, like I literally like never even worked like, I mean, this kind of sounds like kind of crazy, but during high school, like I worked all the time just so I wouldn't have to go home. So I would literally like wake up at 8 a.m., go to school till 3, go straight to work, and then work until like 10 or 11 p.m. Because like in my brain, I was like, I need to be financially like independent so then I can go and just do what I want later. So I would just save. And that's something that I'm really glad that I did at a young age was I just saved so much money while I was living at home.
Yeah.
And then I basically, once I moved out of my house because me and my mom had like really bad relations, I continued doing like these art pop-up shops every like weekend. I would find like all the events.
What does that mean? Art
It's like, you know, like the pop-up shops where they have like tents outside and stuff, and they have like music festivals or something where you would like
I just went to a pop-up the other day, but like you helped.
So I basically like had one of those tents. So that's how I made my money in college, was just going to those events, selling my art prints, selling stickers, selling like products.
You had your own pop-up.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's cool.
So then I made like a lot of money during that time doing that.
Yeah.
And so then during college, I would just save all that money.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I had a lot of scholarships to go to my college because I had actually gotten a full ride to, which is also what influenced me to stay in state because I literally was like free college.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to pay $200,000 on my own. I don't want to be $200,000 in debt when I like leave.
Yeah.
If I had family support like with like funding some of that, maybe.
Right.
But that just wasn't my situation. So I was like, I'm just going to save as much as I can.
Yeah.
Right when I graduated, I didn't even go to my graduation ceremony. I literally skipped my
You were like, I'm
ceremony,
dipping.
and I said, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And so then I literally like moved here immediately. Yeah.
I'm assuming there were like other students there were no other students that were like similar to you, your artistic creativity, things like that. You can,
So there's nothing really also like really pushing me either.
Right.
And it just got really draining to just be around a bunch of people that
didn't
honestly,
get you.
Yeah, and honestly, it's so slow paced. There's so many people in Nebraska that are genuinely depressed and like hate their life.
Is it because of the weather?
And no, the weather's great. The weather is great. There's just nothing to do. They have too much time to just think of and contemplate their life out there.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of people get married really young. They have kids really young. I'm like, girl, you have me damned if I'm having kids at like 21. Like, there is no way.
Yeah,
there is no way. Like,
way.
And you know, respect to you if that's like what you want to do.
No respect. This
but
is the internet.
not for me. I want to make my money first. I'm trying to get my bag first before I have children. Like, so. Yeah, I think I definitely made a good decision by moving here for sure, but it's definitely challenging.
I did not know that you started pop-ups when you were like in college.
No, I started it when I was in high school. Is the thing.
Oh my god! And so this is like your tattoo or your art or.
So the tattoos actually got done in Korea because like oh my god, that's also a really funny story too because like I convinced my mom that we need to go to Hongdae. I was like, we need to go to Hongdae.
She went with you to Korea.
Yeah, this was like 2 years. No, this was like literally like 5 years later. She came. Mm-hmm. She finally could afford for our family to go. So then we went, and then I convinced her like we need to go to Hongdae. Like, and she was like, "Why?" And I was like, "I just want to go like see it." And then I ended up booking like a tattoo session, mm-hmm. and I got like both my shoulders done, and I told her I was getting a tiny heart. And so then I came back to like the Airbnb in Hongdae, and she was literally like,
with your shoulders out?
Yes. And she was just like,
the bravery.
You know when they go silent, when they just like have nothing to say.
Yeah, she can't do anything about it.
No, literally, at that point, she literally couldn't do anything about it. She was so pissed.
But she believed you because that's gotta take a couple hours. No, she believed you was like
it took 8.5 hours,
and she was like, it's gonna take 8.5 hours to do a little heart.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know. Like, she just didn't really like question it, to be honest. But
right. It's your life. I mean, you're old enough.
No, literally. And then she got so pissed because I influenced my older brother to get a tattoo too. So he got like a really big dragon and like flowers and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then I even got I got my hand tattoo done too, like this last time that I went to Korea.
I like how a lot of these tattoos seem like Asian inspired. And
yeah, they're all like Korean. They have the norige and like the Korean national flower is like all my tattoo, and like the fan.
And kind of looking at it now, it feels like it means more, especially like hearing about how you didn't feel like you had that connection when you were growing up. So
yeah, I think I'm really like glad in the sense that I always wanted to though. I always had that desire to.
Yeah.
And like there was definitely a period, I mean, every Asian goes through that period of time, especially if you grew up in the suburbs where you want to be white.
Yes.
You know, when they dye their hair,
yes.
like bleach our hair, like bleach the living shit out of our hair until it's like literally like
that. Yeah. It's so sad. It's like self-hate when you're growing up and you're like, I'm not cool enough. Like, I don't see myself in magazines.
Right.
Like, we're not sexy. And
because have you heard of that thing where it's like once an Asian like dyes their hair back to black, like they
really grew up. Yeah.
Character development, because it's just like,
I've heard that.
You know what I mean? Like you don't feel like this need that you need to like stand out or like fit into a certain demographic or crowd of people, and you're just like, I'm comfortable in like who I am. You know what I mean?
Did you have that? Did you dye your hair and then a different color?
No, I literally went through every color of the rainbow. I did red, I did blue, I did like pink. Wow. I did every color. And I also did like, I had like so many just blonde balayage like moments too. Like that was like
even if I want to now, I literally work in like an office and I can't go beach blonde. I would just look unprofessional.
Right. That's what my mom said too. My mom was like, you're gonna look unprofessional in the work field or whatever. And I was just like, girl.
But you did it when you were young, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was like, girl, I don't even want to be in the corporate life anyway, so if people don't want to hire me because I have tattoos, then I feel like that's changing too. I feel like that's changing too. Like
it is.
People don't really care as much. Like so many people have tattoos now.
Especially in New York, I bet. Like
especially in New York.
Everybody has a tattoo in New York. It feels like just down the street,
Yeah, I agree. So
OMG, okay. Do you have any like crazy New York stories? Because I was talking to my friends. One of my friends that lives in New York, he was like asking he likes to ask these kinds of questions. It's like kind of stupid, but it's kind of fun at the same time. And
crazy
everybody answered it.
Like, yeah. I feel like everyone also out of state always asks like, what's the craziest thing you've been through?
Is it not crazy once you're living here? Like every day it's like something a little crazy.
I mean, it's really not that crazy to me. I don't know. Like, I mean, it can be. It just depends on the area that you're in. Like, I live like in like downtown Brooklyn. And obviously you're going to see your like occasional meth head. You're going to see like, that's just normal. That's everywhere in the city. But I haven't really gone through like anything like, luckily, like knock on wood, because I'm not trying to go through anything. But I haven't experienced anything like really crazy.
Okay.
Like there, you'll see people having like mental health episodes and stuff like that. But I feel like that's not really like that crazy. Like I feel like.
Let me ask you a question then. That this is like kind of a stupid question, but it's kind of fun. So we were like waiting for the subway, and you know that water that's like
what water?
The water that's in the subway tracks. Like sometimes when it's raining, there's like sewage water, low-key. And
it smells like shit. When it rains in New York, it smells like shit.
Really bad.
It smells like shit.
And one of my friends was like looking at it, and he was like, "How much money would it take
for you to drink
for
it,
you to put? You don't even have to drink it. Just put your face in it for like 3 seconds. How much money would it take?" And everyone's asking questions like, "Is there doctors on the side? There's a doctor on the side in case anything goes wrong. How much money?" But you just have to like
dunk your face in it?
3 seconds. You can like hold your breath.
Girl, my skin. I spent all this money on Korean skincare, and you want me to dunk my face and like dunk all my progress into that? Oh my god, I don't know.
I feel the guys.
You have to pay me like at least $1 million, like minimum, right? Minimum. I'm not doing it for like a couple. It has to be at least $1 million. Yeah,
because you don't know what's in there. Also, it's like sometimes it's like stagnant water, and that guy like breathes.
The rats run through that shit.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I would do it for $1 million, to be honest. I feel like it's like radioactive or something.
$2 million, yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna like grow like a third toe, like.
You might get a new pathogen that's like next COVID.
Like I'm gonna have like a second pinky, like forming out of my. Like I'm gonna grow like another extra like nostril. Oh my! I guess you could like go to Korea, get your plastic. Can you fix this, please? I mean, that's who I would have fix it though. Yeah. That's who I would have fix it. Like genuinely.
Money can do anything.
No, literally.
Okay,
no, so money can do anything. Those Korean surgeons can do anything. Yeah. They can literally fix everything.
Magicians.
No, they're so like they're crazy good at it. Like
I'm going back. Like I need to go in 2025. I'm already planning it, and I'm gonna get.
What are you gonna get done?
A beep. No, I'm not gonna change my face, but I want to get like chin filler. Like I want to do like a whole facial. Like yeah. See,
I'm all for that kind of stuff. Yeah. I don't think it's like weird. I only think it's like weird when people are like super like
judgmental about it.
Judgmental, but also just like secretive. Because I feel like if you're really confident in yourself, like for me, like when people are like, "Do you edit your photos?" I'm like, "Yes, I edit my photos. Like I facial retouch my photos, absolutely." Or like if people ask like, "Oh yeah, have you gotten any procedures done?" I would literally be like, "Yeah, I had like double eyelid surgery, for example." Like it doesn't. I don't think like it's something to really be like embarrassed of.
I agree. I think that's also changing though because people are more accepting of that nowadays, and I feel like there's a little bit of a strength with women. Like we feel like there's a lot more. I don't want to say power, but thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. Like
yeah, of course.
Little, like, thing
of course.
Bye.
Cut.